Now it's time to turn pancakes into an elegant dessert with my Chocolate Orange Crepe Torte. This has 16 layers, of which 8 involve chocolate. Not just one, but 2 types of chocolate. I alternate a dark chocolate ganache with a white chocolate cremeux, but both have an orange flavor infused into them. When I make this dessert, I do make both fillings at the same time. Both start by heating cream. I need 1 2/3 cup of cream in total, and I'll divide that after I heat it up. Chocolate and orange has to be one of my favorite flavor combinations. Makes me think of holiday time, even though this is a recipe I make just about any time of year. I'm grating in the zest of an orange into the cream, because that's really the best way to work in the flavor. For the 2 fillings, I have 2 types of chocolate. In one bowl, 7 ounces of dark chocolate. That's for the chocolate orange ganache. For my white chocolate cremeux, which has a similar consistency, but is just a bit smoother, I have 8 ounces of white chocolate. Now, they look like chips, but this is baking or couverture chocolate. There we go. Bubbles are breaking the surface of the cream. And now I'll measure 1 cup of this into my dark chocolate. And the remaining 2/3 I'll pour over the white chocolate. Stir the dark one first. Let the hot cream do most of the work. You just want to stir gently. Oh, I can smell that orange as the chocolate is melting. And there we go. So the ganache I leave to cool at room temperature. Now, this white chocolate cremeux, this is something special. So it starts off like a ganache, the combination of cream and white chocolate. But white chocolate won't set all on its own. If you just put this in the fridge, it would be a very soft consistency, a lot softer than a dark chocolate ganache. So after I've melted my cream and white chocolate together, I add a special ingredient, and it adds a lovely creaminess, and at the same time, it keeps the white chocolate from being too sweet. There we go. My white chocolate is fully melted. And here is the secret ingredient, 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt. The yogurt thickens up the cremeux as it sits, but it also balances the sweetness of the white chocolate because, of course, plain Greek yogurt has a nice little tang to it. This I'll pop in the fridge to chill, and it will set up to the same consistency as my ganache will sitting at room temperature. While my 2 fillings set, that leaves me the perfect amount of time to make the pancakes. So I start with a cup of all-purpose flour, just a touch of sugar, a tablespoon, and now for the liquids. A crepe batter is far more fluid than, say, a breakfast pancake batter. So 1 to 1 in terms of milk to flour. So a full cup of milk added to my 1 cup of flour. 2 eggs, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You could use melted butter if you wish, but I tend to use the oil simply because sometimes I make this batter recipe ahead of time and I just keep it in the fridge. If you do that with butter, your butter will solidify within the batter. And this you want to whisk until it's quite smooth. A couple of lumps are okay, but not a whole lot here. In fact, you could use a blender if you wanted to, but then you have to let the batter rest. So a simple whisk by hand. You can really see how fluid this batter is. So if I'm preparing my crepe batter ahead of time, this is where I put it in the fridge. Right before I want to make my crepes, the last ingredient, 1/2 cup of club soda or sparkling water. This really lightens up the texture of the crepe, and it makes the batter easy to handle, easy to swirl around your crepe pan. Because this is a thin, flat pancake, there's no need for baking powder or baking soda. Now, I've got my crepe pan. Takes a little fiddling around, but I heat my pan to just above medium. I'm just gonna wipe a touch of oil onto my pan. Drop the batter right in the center of the pan, and then swirl it outwards. You don't want to flip your crepe until you see the entire surface has gone matte. No more shine. And it should even start browning and pull away from the edges of the pan. I find it easiest to use a bamboo skewer and just quickly the tips of my fingers to flip it over. Just a couple seconds on its other side, and then onto a plate. And on you go. You get a really nice rhythm when it comes to making crepes. This crepe recipe makes 8 large crepes, and that's exactly what I need for this elegant crepe torte. So I'll finish making up these crepes while my 2 fillings set, and then it'll be time to pull it all together. Whoa, all 16 layers. I'm taking pancakes to a whole new level, 16 levels in fact, with my chocolate orange crepe torte. I have my 2 fillings that are both now the same consistency. The white chocolate orange one has been chilled and the dark chocolate one has been sitting at room temperature. I have all my crepes made, so it's time to assemble. I got my inspiration for this torte on a recent trip to Singapore, and when you visit some of the shops there, they actually have whole stores devoted to crepe tortes of all different flavors. And I thought, I love crepes and I love all these fillings you can use, so I put my own version together. Now what I noticed there is the crepe tortes are beautifully perfect and nicely stacked. So what I do is I trim my crepes so they're all exactly the same size. I just use a tart ring, but you could simply use an inverted bowl or even a plate and just trace around and cut it. So I'm gonna cut these all first before I assemble a thing. I'm using 8 crepes in total. And whatever you do, don't throw away these scraps, because those in a bowl, warm, with a little bit of butter and brown sugar, and a spoonful of ice cream, it's like a crepe sundae. The assembly isn't overly complicated, but you just have to keep track of your layers. Start with a crepe at the bottom, and because I want to end with the dark chocolate on top, I start with the white chocolate on the bottom. Just a little spoonful. Here, you can really understand why this is called Cremeux. Look at that creaminess. You want a nice, even layer. Now for my dark chocolate. Once you make your ganache and you cool it to room temperature, it'll actually keep setting up until it's solid. So if you're spreading it on your torte and you find it's no longer spreadable, just warm it up a little bit, give it a stir, and away you go. I leave about a ½ inch gap around the outside, just because as you layer it on, each layer will compress on the other and push the filling to the outside a bit. I like to serve this dessert when I'm having a small group over for dinner. So you don't need a cake for 20 people. A little slice of this is really rich and satisfying. And now you want to chill this down until it's ready to serve. The finishing touch I like to add, just to let you know that there's an orange flavor in there, is adding a few candied orange slices. But of course, that's optional. And so can you believe that there's 16 layers packed into that crepe torte? I'm just gonna cut this orange slice. I love that you can find inspiration just about anywhere, and with things as simple as a pancake. Normally when I have crepes, they're warm. This is a wonderful way to enjoy them chilled.